जी सर, आईपीएसी मीडिया को ऐड करो 2 मिनट।
YouTube लाइव प्रकाश यहाँ से कर रहे हैं। मेल पिता ना
अब आप कर रहा सर,
यहाँ से कर देता अभी IQAC करने का ना, लगे कर दो जब तक यहाँ सही
एडमिट ऑल कर देता ना।
हाँ कर दो। यहाँ से कर देता IQAC करने का ना, एडमिट ऑल करके तुम आपको बना दो।
मैं लाइव नहीं जाना करो ना, होस्ट बनाओ
मैच करने बात है, मगर यहाँ तो आवाज बंद कर सकता है,
कर सकते हैं।
ऑनलाइन चला।
You might know it. Water metal. Water conductor. Conductors are those.
Good morning. I welcome all of you. Before starting our today's event, I will ask Dr. Samad sir to recite the Holy Quran. Please, Dr. Samad sir.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. ولا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم أولئك هم الفاسقون. لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب الجنة. أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون. لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله. وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون. صدق الله مولانا العظيم.
Thank you, sir. Now we will be starting our event. So, chief guest of today's program, respected A.M. Deshmukh sir, Honorable President of the event, Principal Ilyas Fazil sir, esteemed resource persons, Vice Principals Dr. H.K. and Dr. Hussaini, Organizing Secretary of the event, Thakur sir, Co-convener of the event, Professor Feroz Ilyas sir, student fraternity, and all my participants, delegates. I welcome you all. So this event, it is a matter of pride for us. We are organizing third international conference in our college. So I will like to say that first of all, I welcome all the participant delegates who have come all the way from different parts of the countries. You know, friends, the world is presently going through a very worst time, that is the pandemic. The pandemic has not only affected our health and lifestyle, but also it has affected the education system. You remember nicely that how eager we used to be during the offline conferences, but that charm has gone, and even we are having problem in organizing this conference. But in spite of such harsh conditions, we got a tremendous response to our college, where we are getting near about 165 registrations we have got from across the country. And we have got tremendous response from pharmacy sector. Also, I will like to say about the title. The title is very flexible, lucid, it is suitable for everybody. Maybe it's an art student, science faculty, academicians, or anybody. Special attention we have given to the budding researchers. So that's why that particular topic of plagiarism and research development and methodology has been selected. Even I will like to say our resource persons, they are highly qualified and esteemed. I am very much thankful to Sohail sir, who from Bangladesh has made it possible to make it an international event. I can never forget the contribution of Microbiology Society India and AM sir in creating awareness about the pandemic throughout these 2 years. Sir and the society was totally busy in creating awareness about this particular pandemic. I am very much thankful to AM sir. Also, I will like to say that as you have given a huge response of registrations, I request all of you to kindly attend the sessions also, because you know only registration doing is not that much enough, but attendance should be also be there. So I hope that it's a big event. Once again, I welcome all of you and I thank all of you for giving us a huge response. Thanks a lot. Okay, so now we will be starting with our session. So the chief guest of today's program, Dr. A.M. Deshmukh sir, already I have told the contribution of sir, it's vast since last 2 years. During the pandemic, I know near about 100-500 conferences have been organized through our Microbiology Society, and AM sir is always on the top, taking efforts to give something to every college. I request AM sir to accept the chief guestship of today's program and please deliver your address to our students. Please, AM Deshmukh sir, please join us.
Thank you. Thank you, madam, for inviting me to interact with the August gathering today virtually. At the outset, I would like to congratulate your college. Although relatively you are in village area. You are situated in a district place. But your principal, honorable principal, Dr. Ilyas, sir, I know him. He is a very dynamic and having good vision regarding the science, being a science person. So because of the academic environment he has created in the college, you could arrange this activity successfully. As you are told, you got a 175 registration throughout the India. That is really a great success. Means you have contacted very well. You have reached to different corners of India very well. That's why you could get such a huge response, overwhelming response. Your team in the biotechnology or microbiology is an excellent team. So Dr. Seema and Dr. Asif, both of them are very active, and today's event is a success of this activity. I would like to again give emphasis on the topic. The topic of the conference you have selected is a very, very interesting and applied topic. The reason is that now everyone who is doing research should obey the rule of plagiarism. And what is the way to test the plagiarism? How much plagiarism is the repetition, copying is allowed by the university, by the UGC? The researcher must know. So the plagiarism is an indispensable part of research, and emerging trends in research development and methodology. Because we are doing research. What research was carried out 20 years back has tremendously changed nowadays. 20 years back, when we did our PhD, I submitted my thesis in 1988. At that time, we were using typewriter. At that time, how to do the research survey, we were not knowing. And research methodology, various instruments, we were not aware of it. Now, all our students, they are getting these facilities, but it is your duty, it is my duty to tell them what are the research methodologies, what are development. You are going to create awareness among the young generation. That's why, as a president of Microbiology Society, it is my duty to congratulate you for this, the excellent event. And Dr. Sohail from Bangladesh is going to deliver the lecture. He is a very very good research worker. He will contribute his thoughts. I'm very happy today in this inaugural session. Again, I congratulate your college and wish all the best for today's interactions. Thank you very much. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, sir. Now it's the time of presidential address. I request Honorable Principal of our college to kindly give the presidential address. Please welcome, sir.
Thank you, Seema ma'am. Respected chief guest of today's program,
Dr. A.M. Deshmukh sir, esteemed resource persons and delegates, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning to all of you. I welcome you all in today's online international conference on plagiarism and emerging trends in research development and methodology. I am very glad to share with you this is the third international conference arranged by our college. I congratulate our research development committee for organizing this international conference in a very short period of time. I'm also thankful to Microbiology Society India and Dr. A.M. Deshmukh sir for making this event an international event. The topic plagiarism and emerging trends in research development and methodology is not restricted. It has a broad benefit to every student and faculty. I welcome Professor Abdullah Muhammad Sohail from Bangladesh, who accepted our invitation and delivering lectures on plagiarism. Now it's high time. Every must know what to avoid. Why should avoid about the plagiarism? Another aspect of this conference is research development and methodology, which throws the light on emerging trends in research development and methodology. Our prime focus is on budding researchers by letting them know about the basic concept of research methodology. I also welcome Dr. Syed Moinuddin Rashid and Professor Makonemam in helping to conduct this event. I wish a grand success of this event. For this, I end my presidential speech. I could conclude. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you very much, sir. Friends, that is the end of our inaugural ceremony. Now let us start with our technical session 1. So before starting with the technical session 1, I will like Dr. Nakade from Kolhapur University to accept the chairmanship of this session. Dear friends, our today's first resource person is Dr. Abdullah Muhammad Sohail from Bangladesh. So thank you, friends. Let us begin with our first session, our technical session. I request Nakade sir from Kolhapur to accept the chairmanship of this session. You know, friends, our first resource person is Dr. Abdullah Muhammad Sohail. I will like to give his brief introduction. Presently, sir is the Director of Cell Genetics and Plant Biotechnology. Also, he is the Director of Science Portal, Bangladesh. At present, he is working as a professor, Department of Biotechnology and Genetic Engineering, Jahangirnagar University, Sawar, Dhaka, Bangladesh. He completed his PhD in Agricultural Biotechnology from Chungbuk National University, South Korea in the year 2006. He did his postdoctoral fellowship at Tsukuba University, Japan from 2009 to 11. Also, he has worked as a research associate at University of Florida, where he successfully developed a model on greening and canker-resistant transgenic citrus cultivars. His key research interest is in isolating novel genes from local biodiversity, genome engineering, and genome editing to develop environmentally resilient plants. Several projects have been completed by him. He has a brilliant track record of publications with par excellent H-index and impact factor. He has delivered so many lectures and talks on different aspects. Also, he has visited a number of countries as a scientist. Lastly, I will like to quote the quote which Sohail sir always quotes. He says, "I am not the best, but I will try my best to achieve something in my area of interest." Thank you very much, Sohail sir. This introduction is very, very short for you. We don't have words for expressing the big introduction about you, sir. So, sir, now I request to please accept our invitation and start with our lecture. I welcome Dr. Abdullah Muhammad Sohail from Bangladesh, who will be delivering on the topic plagiarism, what to avoid and why to avoid. Please, sir.
Assalamu alaikum and very good morning for everyone.
Sir, please start your video also.
Yeah, I am seeing my video is already on.
Okay. Your slides are visible.
Okay. So it's my great pleasure to be here in this very timing and hard reality topic about plagiarism and other aspects of advanced researches. I would like to thank Anjuman Ishat Italim Beads, Milia Art Science and Management Science College, BEAD, organizing international e-conference on plagiarism, research development and methodology with Microbiology Society India. And I am very much grateful to Dr. M. Deshmukh sir and for his enlightening speech, President Microbiology Society India. My cordial thanks to Dr. Muhammad Ilyas Fazil sir, principal of this college, other speakers, guests, faculties, and other members. Special thanks to Dr. Shima Hashmi for introducing me and also inviting me for this event. I was really happy for that invitation and very much grateful. First of all,
sir, please, if it is possible to increase the volume.
okay, ma'am, I'm trying. Then maybe I have to close the video because both is not working well.
Okay, sir.
So first of all, I am grateful to Almighty Allah that during this COVID pandemic situation, still we are alive, where millions of people already dead, thousands of people still in the hospitals, and many more are suffering in many other ways. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is blessed us and we are still alive, though among us, many of us already suffered, tested positive, lost their jobs and other difficulties. But,
Sohail sir,
sir,
your mic or speaker is not working properly.
okay, sir, I'm changing then. Okay, sir,
Yeah.
Just give me a minute. Hello, how about now?
Yes. Now we can listen.
Okay. So I am very sorry. Actually, this is blessings of internet and also some demerits of that, because since last 2 years, we are working very hard to adopt this system. But still, we have lots of difficulties, lots of technical problem with us. Okay, though it's not relevant to my talk, but I'd like to introduce about my university as it will increase the opportunities of collaboration and future research accomplishment together. So I am from Jahangirnagar University, It's established in 1970. Is largest university, one of the largest universities in Bangladesh. It's public university where around 700 academic staffs and about 15,000 of students. It's located in nearby the Dhaka city. It's called the area Savar. It's around 30 kilometers from the international airport and 35 kilometers from the heart of the Dhaka city. It's quite a rural area, about 700 acres of land. And you can see a few snaps of the university campus. We have very natural diversity here, followed by jungle, bushes, lakes, and others. During this winter time, lots of migratory birds visited here. So it's very charming environment right now. Though due to the COVID pandemic, we have lots of restrictions around the campus, but still every day many people came to visit from different parts of the Bangladesh. So this is very few. If you are interested, you can visit our website for details about the university. And I am from the Department of Biotechnology and Genetic Engineering. This department was established in 2010, and fortunately, I have started my career from here after completing, not completed, ongoing postdoc in USA, and I returned back and I have joined in this department. And since then, I am here. I have established this cell genetics and applied biotechnology laboratory by the grace of Almighty Allah. And then I am trying my level best to doing something in associating with Aurobindo Deshmukh sir to promote microbiology, not microbiology, promote biotechnology and the students, promoting students towards the new technologies. Please visit my lab for details and you can get some more information about my lab. So for my talk, actually, please don't take it so seriously. As I already told that plagiarism is basically hard reality. All of us, especially we are in the academic community. Sometimes we do want to speak about that. Sometimes we don't. So in my talk, basically, I would like to focus about research, publications, and then I will tell some glimpse of things about plagiarism or plagiarism, whatever we say, we pronounce so. And about plagiarism, I will talk from different popular universities and different softwares, what they are saying about these topics. So first of all, scientific publications that we much care. This is an important source of information and knowledge in academic research and development. Scientific publications are effective research communication, essential skill for researcher and for a job, acquiring funding, attracting media coverage, publishing great papers, or our promotions, or getting all academic achievements. It depends on scientific publication, so that it's very much important, and that's basically related to the plagiarism. Now, many of you from the biology field, so you know the planting cycle. So it's a very simple example where from the seed to the mature tree with fruit, it has several cycles to go. First of all, need to planting, then need to feeding, watering, then harvesting the fruits. And from seed to get fruits, it has several changes and it takes long time. And by this time, proper feeding, watering, taking care, and so many things we have to care to get the fruits. So at the end, if we not harvest on time, so what will happen? It's got rotten. I mean, we wasted all we have done, even fruits, vegetables, or everything. Similar with the research cycle, if we just have a look in the screen, that first of all, we have to plan and design, we have to discover, we have to gather and analyze, and publish and engage. I am not saying that this four is all in all, but the major components of this. We have to secure fund, we need a good space for research, we need materials. So that's the important facts about the research cycle. Now, if we can see the academic challenges, I mean, the cycle of an academician, then all of you know the hurdles of that. First of all, master's degree. I mean, if we start from the undergrad students, it's like an egg of some insects, then master's, then PhD, then postdoc, tenure track. So we have a very difficult time, undercover, underground time. Then if we are so much lucky, we can hatch and we can see the real world as an associate professor, finally a full professor. But it's very difficult for all of us, all of academicians, to become associate professor and full professor. So life cycle of the academic is not so easy, is not so easy. Alhamdulillah, we are already being professor by the grace of Almighty. So it's a special blessings for us as well. Then if we can see the evolution of academia, so whole life we have to chase again, publish or perish until we die. Like we have published, when we publish, we are very happy, publish, perish, publish, perish. So this is our research cycle or evolution cycle. Now, what is we are chasing? We have to chase every time. That also from a cartoon, please have a look. The intellectual freedom. So before graduate school, we have lots of dreams. We have lots of planning. We have lots of energy, and we think, okay, we can do lots of things. I'm going to research whatever I want. And then when become graduate student, the reality becomes started. And then assistant professor, tenure track professor, we have to run and run. So we have to hunt the funding, we have to satisfy the grant owner, we have to satisfy the authorities to get promotion, and finally emeritus professor, and finally research in peace. We have not complete our mission, what we have planned, what we have dreamed before graduate school. So this is the real scenario, and this is the reality of intellectual freedom or academic career. So now, if I would like to focus about the research, so what is it? I think all of you knows better than me about research, but I am focusing few points that basically is related. I have to explain to go towards plagiarism, so that I am repeating those. So please forgive me because you already know about those topics much more than me. So research is a process of systemic inquiry that involves collection of data, documentation of critical information, analysis and interpretation of that data information in accordance with suitable methodologies set by specific professional fields and academic discipline. Why research? Why we should do research? First of all, we have to validate uh, some hypothesis we have generated or interpretive framework, evaluate the hypothesis, and we have to validate. And then assemble a body of substantive knowledge and finding for sharing them in appropriate manners, generate questions for further inquiries, and we got the answers. The recent pandemic situation uh, mm, explored lots of research question and already answered. We got the vaccines within a year. So this is the outcomes of a fruitful or successful research. Research ethics, what are those ethics? We have to think about that. We need integrity, we need respect, we have to follow rules, regulations, justice, dignity. We have to maintain the confidentiality. We have to do the competence, moral principles, ethical practices we must obey. We have to think about values, privacy, honesty, beneficence, and autonomy, and finally, malfeasance. So those are the research topics. All of you are good researcher than me, so you know better than me, and you are following those topics very well. Next, what are the research elements then? Epistemology, theoretical perspectives, material and methods. I am not going in details about that. So we know that how do we choose new results? We do the experiments, we analyze something, and among the many outcomes, we have choose the best one that will be our final results according to what we have done. Then what is publication? Publications make scientific information publicly available and allow the rest of the academic audience to evaluate the quality of the research or aware the people what I am doing, what is the outcome, what are the outcomes of on the current research. There are various types of publications: scholarly journal, professional trade publications, general interest magazines, book chapters, even though everyday daily newspapers also published some facts, findings, also some case studies, case reports, such and so. So why do we publish with our scientific data? So need for credit, recognition, we want discoverability and definitely reusability of others, awareness, peer review, expert service, technology, lots of, not limited to, lots of reasons. That's why we do publish. Why do we care for publication? Publications are the powerful indicator of a scholar's achievement to demonstrate academic talent to peers, so that publications for academician and researchers are very much important. All of we know that when we apply for promotion or new job, so our CV or our resume is being evaluated through our publications. So publications is a powerful indicator to judge myself. No one personally is known to me, but everyone knows me well about after reading my scholarly achievements through the online or even offline. So the publication cycle is similarly with others research and other cycle. I am not going details on it. And what's now? Right now, this time, digital time, vast opportunities where digital and social media can reshape knowledge translation. Our identity, our contribution, and our activities are now open to all. So it will be the beginning of this plagiarism and why we are going on. Scientific writing is really, really very hard work. Scientific writing is not just writing about science. It is the technical writing that scientists do to communicate their research to others. During this pandemic, though all academic institutions were closed, but students, researchers, and academicians, they were not closed their brain and activities. So they have done lots of things online. They did research online. They published online. They did conference online. Right now, we are also attending e-conference in the similar way. Scientific writing is predicted on the rigor of scientific inquiry, so it must reflect the same precisions as that demanded in the research process. Communicating different facts, figures, methods that used in research as well as the description of the results has to be precise and exact. The research question, hypotheses, methods, analysis, conclusions, outcomes must be stated clearly and very simply. So, why it's important to write well? So it's a long debate and it's a long talk about the importance of writing well, because we are publishing the papers. It has different grade, different level that we are publishing. So some papers is very precious journals, very highly impacted journals, and some are not discoverable journal. So that we know that why the important to write well. Though we have very good data, very good outcomes, very good findings, but if we can't write well, it won't be published in a good journal. If we can't clearly, concisely, and logically communicate our achievement, our findings, our accomplishment, so it doesn't matter we will publish or we can publish well. However, if we can clearly explain our work, it will be understood by more people, and journals, editors will be in touch, or will be in touch our manuscript, and they will try to review, and they will try to publish in their esteemed journal. Now, sometimes why we don't publish, that's the very important things. Lots of data in our hand, but we don't want to publish. That's why sometimes the answer would be, I don't want to, or I shifted my journey from academics to different field, like a regulatory field, or some company where research is not required, or some others government job. So that's the different fact. And other thing, the main reasons tend to relate to time, apathy, losing the moment, worn down by the reviewing process, for perceiving the glass ceiling effect, lack of confidence, overcritical reviewers and supervisors, moving on to the next project. So many things are there. So we are not also detailing about this topic. So now we are in the main topic about the plagiarism. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, the word plagiarize means to steal and pass off the ideas or words of another as one's own. Use another's production without crediting the source. What we have talked, that's very much related with plagiarism, because we need to publish. We have not all of idea of our own. We have to borrow some ideas from others. But where is the problem? Problem is when we borrow, or when we take some ideas, some informations, if we won't be crediting them, that will be the problem. And that is the stealing case. So when plagiarism been started, the first time the word plagiarism was used in its modern sense was roughly 80 AD. It became a part of our regular English vernacular over 400 years ago and has been in the dictionary for nearly 2.5 centuries. So this is not new, but about these things we are awarding right now, because this time lots of softwares, lots of social media focus, so that we are very much aware about the plagiarism. But this is not the new topic, it's very old topic. And while plagiarism is an important topic of conversation recently in schools, politics, the news and beyond, there are still many things that people may not know about it. Turnitin said about this background of plagiarism. University of Oxford, what they are saying about this plagiarism. Plagiarism is presenting someone else's work or ideas as your own with or without their consent by incorporating it into your work without full acknowledgement. So almost the things are the similar, stealing or what I have done or what I am doing without full acknowledgement will be the problem. So what are the different steps that we must know? First of all, we need to know which one will be the plagiarism. So if we don't know about the plagiarism, we cannot avoid it. So plagiarism is using the ideas or words of others and passing them off as your own. I mean, the ideas or words of others and passing them off is not a problem, but the problem when it will represent as my own, that will be the problem. Make sure you are aware of them, common types of plagiarism. Then secondly, know how plagiarism happens. Make sure students to aware about how to plagiarism occur and develop effective academic skills from the undergrad level to avoid this plagiarism. How does plagiarism happen? So University of North South Wales, Sydney is saying plagiarism happens for a number of reasons. One is because someone decides concisely to gain credit for the work of others. However, most incidents of plagiarism are not the product of deliberate cheating, but of underdeveloped academic skills. Where in India, Bangladesh, and we have different graded universities, colleges, and other research institutes. So basically, as a student or early career researchers, we are doing plagiarism due to the lack of proper knowledge, because our academic system and from the undergrad level, research ethics, publication ethics, plagiarism, if we don't incorporate them in our curriculum, in our syllabus, so how these those students will aware about it? So we have to care about that. All we are academicians, senior academicians. So we have to incorporate those topics from the very beginning. That's why students aware from their early career, undergrad level, and they become ready to avoid it. Plagiarism in this case is a consequence of lack skills needed to be successful in a tertiary learning environment. If you develop these skills, your chances of being accused of plagiarism will be greatly reduced. How to avoid? So we will discuss in several forms this point, how to avoid plagiarism. So it's important to remember that plagiarism can be both intentional and unintentional. However, unintentional plagiarism carries the same consequences as intentional. There are steps we can take to avoid. What are the steps we can follow? First of all, we have to plan well. Then we have to take good notes. I mean, from the beginning, we can start writing. We need to know how to write well. So but for writing well, first of all, we think we have to be sound in English. We have to be a good grammatical knowledge. But other stuffs that we really need, we sometimes we ignore those things. Definitely, we have to have very good English skills, grammatical skills, and others. But beside this, we must know about the plagiarism and what is plagiarized, how we can avoid it. Take good notes when source of information we are copying. Sometimes we are very lazy. In my case, I am saying from my experience that we got some piece of information from different source like published paper or internet or books that I think, okay, I will remember from where I got those information. And then I just take it, but without taking the reference at that time. So at the end of, I mean, after sometimes like 2 months, 3 months, actually those memories erase from my brain that from where I got those piece of information. So that taking good notes is very important. Whenever we pick some information, we have to take good notes that the source where we got it and from where we took it. Keep track of your source. Then after taking the good notes, we have to be keep track. Be sure to note which books and articles you are used and from where, which page, which chapter, everything we have to have good tracking. So and sometimes as a student now we can see lots of students even in the undergrad level without any mentor they can publish, or they are publishing, I mean they cannot, they are publishing lots of papers, but they don't have any mentors, they are not supervised by someone, they are just self-motivated, or 2 or 3 international collaborator, I mean just using their name, and they are publishing lots of articles. So as a professor, I am really, these are good on that. And I think it's not the professional way a undergrad student can publish each month 5, 6, 7, 8 papers. I mean, maybe India it's not happening, but in Bangladesh it's frequently is happening there. Undergrad students, their last 1 year or 2 years, they published 30 or 40 papers in good journals, but they don't have any mentor, they don't have any professional for help. But how they're doing, that's the good question. Cite your sources, keep moving to find out why, how, and when to cite your sources. So we have to know about that facts. So what are different forms? University of Oxford saying word for word quotation without clear acknowledgement, cutting and pasting from the internet without clear acknowledgement, paraphrasing, I am saying about paraphrasing later, collusion, inaccurate citation, sometimes we do cite but not proper citation, failure to acknowledge assistance, use of material written by professional agencies or other person, ghostwriting, identical pieces of work submitted concurrently will also be considered to be autoplagiarism. What are the reasons? So few reasons we do this offense. Number one, what already I have discussed, lack of detailed awareness about plagiarism among students, not only students, academicians, researchers. Many students consider that information should be freely available and transmitted, and hence disagreed to concept of plagiarism intentionally. Lack of time can also be reason for students to resort to easy methods like copying or even outsourcing their assignment to paid online websites. I think at this moment, worldwide, even India, Bangladesh, lots of small startups, they are helping students writing their thesis, writing their book chapters, writing their uh, mm, manuscripts, everything, and they took sole responsibilities doing those on behalf of the students. Sometimes they are doing lots of great mistakes. Unfortunately, I am sharing some facts. You will be very astonished to hear about that. Few years back, I got on PhD thesis for review. And when I open the thesis, one slide, it's catch my eyes, and then I was astonished to see, and I am trying to memorize what's actually happened here. And then after a few minutes, I discovered that those slides were taken from my first PhD published paper. And word to word, figure to figure, listen to listen, and everything similar thing. And the students used that who copied, and they are saying that this, those findings, those figures, those anatomies, he or she got from his own experiment. So it's very shameful event, because I was the reviewer and it was happened from my published paper. And then what I have done, I did uh, mm, copied all the informations and forwarded to the register of that university. What actually happened, I am not sure what sorts of acts or what sorts of activities were done here against that student or the researcher, but it quite happened. Sometimes it's happening. And what I have learned that some outsourcing companies, they took charges of analysis, and then they provided those slides to the student that it's his own work. That's the very disappointing fact. Reasons, some more reasons. If a student thinks that incapable of writing a quality paper, then he might incline to copy pasting or paraphrasing. Some students want to publish their articles at any cost, and as a result, they might steal ideas or copy, edited or paraphrase text from articles published in reputed journals to make their article look promising. What? Just few minutes back, I was discussing the issues. The students have some sick race, evil race, I will say. Okay, my friend published 3 papers. Why don't I? Why should not I publish 5? Why should not I publish 6, 7? He published in that journal. Why not me publishing is better journal? So they have some kinds of evil race, and we are noticing right now that's increasing day by day. So this race will not make any good things, and it's really any professionals can understood very well. When he submit his CV, he is an undergraduate student and he published each year 20 papers. So how it will be possible where a professor can't publish 2-3 papers a year in a good journal, but students are publishing 20 papers a year in a good journal. Word for word quotation without clear acknowledgement. Quotations must always be identified as such by the use of either quotation marks or indentation, and with the full referencing of the source cited. That's thing we knows very well. Cutting and pasting without clear acknowledgement. So while cut and paste, we have to be very careful about that. Information derived from the internet must be adequately referenced and included in the bibliography. It's important to evaluate carefully all materials found on the internet, as it less likely to have been through the same process of scholarly peer review as published source. Paraphrasing, this is different. First of all, we'd like to know what is paraphrase. Paraphrase, put the text in your own words, avoid copying the text, rearrange similar text, ask yourself if you include all the important points. If we remember these 4 points, so paraphrasing will be easy for us. Paraphrasing the work of others by altering a few words and changing their order, or by closely following the structure of their argument. So, if we do so without acknowledgement, that will be the problem. Paraphrasing without plagiarism, how we can do? It's better to write a brief summary of the author's overall argument in your own words, indicating that you are doing so, than to paraphrase particular section of his or her writing. It will be the good point to note of all of us, that we can paraphrase, we can use any other's argument in our own words, but we have to indicate that whose argument we are following, or whose argument I am mentioning in the particular section. So in that case, it will not be plagiarized. Sometimes we do, we are failure to acknowledge assistance for a research work or any academic achievements. We need help from different assistants, but sometimes at the end, we are not acknowledging them. Laboratory help, fellow students, technicians, external sources, outsourcing different sources. Even though we borrow some chemicals, reagents, we borrow some instrumentation, this need not apply to the assistance provided by your tutor or supervisor or to ordinary proofreading, but it is necessary to acknowledge other guidance which leads to substantive changes of content or approach, who is intellectually assisting you. You must acknowledge their contribution. Plagiarism is the breach of academic integrity. It's very important. We have to remember it is a principle of intellectual honesty that all members of the academic community should acknowledge their debt to the originators of the ideas, words, data, results, arguments, everything. Plagiarism is unethical and can have serious consequences for your future career. It also undermines the standards of even our institutions and of the degrees we are giving. So that as an academician or institutional head or IQSA office or others, exam office or university authorities definitely should care about that. We should not free our student, and we should not lose our control against them. And sometimes we are thinking, okay, they are doing good, that's great, but we have to follow that, how they are doing and which acts they are following. So it's our duty, because when something will open and some bad things will publish, then first of all, university authority will be loser and will be questioned what sorts of degrees you have provided to the student. and what sorts of academic learning they got or they did. Now, a popular software, Grammarly, all of we know about that. So Grammarly is saying ways to avoid plagiarism. Fortunately, it's not all scary. Avoiding plagiarism is actually easy to do now that you have a foundational understanding of what it is. If we know what it is, then it will be easy for us to avoid. To help your steer clear of this taboo, here's how to avoid plagiarism in your writing. So what else? First of all, we took the ideas from University of Wyoming. Another person's idea, opinion, and theory, proper credit must require. Any facts, statistics, graphs, drawings, or other information that is not common knowledge, we should avoid. Questions of another person's actual spoken or written words, we have to avoid. Paraphrase of another person's spoken or written words in our own way by crediting them well. Cite your score. When mentioning to an idea or wording that's not your own, add a citation in your writing that's identified the full name of the source. That we have explained before, improper citation. Sometimes we forget to cite properly. So we need to cite full name of the source. That's why very clearly understandable that from where I got this information. Including quotations, definitely when words by words we took. So we have to quote and unquote that, and then we have to put under the quotation marks with proper credit. A direct quote should also cite the source so that readers know who the quote is from. So we have to quote and unquote properly. Paraphrasing, we will not say more about paraphrasing, we know that. Present your own idea. Always better to have your own idea presentation or represent our own idea instead of copying the source ideas or words. So we have to use our brains. We have to think carefully. We have to have our own idea, own concept. So it's not so difficult if we have clear understanding about the facts, about the research, about the background, about the outcomes, about the findings, then we can easily write up, we can easily explain, we can easily mention, we can easily put those ideas in our own words. Plagiarism is never a good idea. Definitely, many people are able to plagiarize without being caught. So we are doing, but we have never been caught. So we think, okay, that's the good things because I am so smart, so clever. I can paraphrase in such intelligent way that even software can't understood and can't get the plagiarized words. So please don't think about that. Stealing someone's work is never a good idea and it's not ethical. So we have to have first of no research ethics or publication ethics. Which one is ethical? If we learn from the beginning of our career, which one is ethical and unethical. So we will not do unethical stuffs. As it was just mentioned before, the ethics of plagiarism is just the ethics of stealing. You always want to cite your source and give credit to the original author. If you have not created an idea, be honest, paraphrasing is okay, but as long you paraphrase properly, that's okay. But if we can't paraphrase properly, it will not be okay. So always we should take the positive attitude about citation. Sometimes we don't want to give credit to others, authors, or my colleagues or my friends. So we want to avoid those stuffs. So this is some kinds of negative attitude of a human being. put a quotations, everything that comes directly from another text, site, and source. Paraphrase properly, recognize that common knowledge is factual information, and we have to put them clearly. And then contract cheating or ghost writing. This is the last but not least. What we have to do, or we are doing sometimes, I'm saying that we have to do, we can avoid it, but due to some facts, sometimes we need to do, but we should not to do. Contract cheating or ghost writing, all of we know that. So sometimes students engage another persons to complete work for them. Even though student for students, researchers for researchers, researchers for students, students for researchers, they are doing this act. Senior students helping junior students writing their papers, writing their manuscript, writing their thesis, writing their chapters, and then submit the work as their own, regardless if money was paid or not. Even your friend can do for you without any credit, without any remuneration, without any sorts of feedback, but that's also contract cheating. It occurs when someone other than the student completes an assignment and which the students then submits for assessment or credit. Sometimes what happened? Sometimes direct, just changing the title and name, they are same to same review or monographs or other stuffs they are submitting. So if we remember the facts, then we can catch. If we can, then they go out without. So that now lots of softwares are being used to detect the plagiarism properly. I am not mentioning here different sorts of softwares because all of we know about that, and our institutes also subscribe to different types of softwares in different times. So I would like to mention few disadvantages of plagiarism software, though they are helping a lot. Number one, those are not free. We are getting free, but those free softwares are not satisfying me properly. And then very few words they can get it, so we have to copy and paste several times, and finally it's very difficult to get the overall assessment of my full text. So data are being made available to third parties, so this is the disadvantage. Detects only collusion among students, and many cases cannot detect material downloaded from the web if those are not available. Sometimes unsystematic and labor intensive, involves manual entry of strings, that I'm saying, this free softwares and other space. So Turnitin is a very popular software worldwide, and what they are saying, 5 things about plagiarism. Old cases of plagiarism are constantly being discovered. That means Turnitin awarding us, those we are thinking, okay, we are so smart, we are doing plagiarism, and till today no softwares can detect my stops, my stealing or my copying. So he's now well enough confidence. But Turnitin says, because all softwares every day they are improving, and they are depositing the resources where they can get. So old cases of plagiarism are constantly being discovered. Plagiarism tools are now being used to detect government waste even. Plagiarism regularly causes political turmoil. I will give one example. Plagiarism detection technology is evolving. That's the main point of those. The legal landscape is evolving too, so that we have to avoid, must be avoid, and we have to learn how to avoid and how to do the good things. According to the University of Oxford, the best way of avoiding plagiarism is to learn and employ the principles of good academic practice from the beginning of your university career. Avoiding plagiarism is not simply a matter of making sure our references are well correct or changing enough words so that examiner will not notice your paraphrasing. It is about deploying your academic skills to make your work as good as it can be. Now, just 2 days back, February 3rd, AFP Luxembourg published a paper. Luxembourg's Prime Minister Xavier Bettel on Tuesday announced he was giving up a degree he earned in 1999 after being hit with accusations of plagiarism. So it will be a political turmoil. It will be a government waste. It will be lots of things. So because he's a prime minister of Luxembourg. So we must care. We must be careful about that, and we must know what to avoid and why to avoid. So thank you so okay. Last but not least, actually this is it depends how much actually acceptable range. It's very difficult to say. There is a lack of consensus of clear-cut rules on what percentage of plagiarism is acceptable in a manuscript. Going by the convention, usually a text similarly between 15% is acceptable by the journals, and less than 25% is considered as high percentage of plagiarism. A score higher than 10% is troublesome. Sometimes some journals or someone says 5 to 10% is not bad. A score around 5% is reasonable. It's very difficult to get 5% or less. But usually text similarity 15% sometimes is good enough, but it's better to have less. So thank you so much. Thank you for patient sharing. I am sorry I may not put all the information you wanted to learn, eagerly waiting for that, but based on my knowledge, I have addressed few points on that. So please visit Science Portal Bangladesh. Science Portal Bangladesh is a science communication platform working in association with Microbiology Society India to communicate science for all, and my lab, this cell genetics and plant biotechnology lab for the research and others. We do acknowledge Microbiology Society, Cell Genetics Lab, our different grant, Ministry of Science and Technology, Ministry of Education, and others. So thank you so much. Thank you. And I hope in future we will be in touch, and when things will be better, we can be together in Bangladesh or India, anywhere. And I am very much thankful to Arvind Deshmukh sir, Shima Hashmi ma'am, and principal sir for inviting me in this event. And I hope for future collaboration and cooperation. Thank you so much. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, you can talk.
Thanks, sir. Very nicely you have explained the basic concepts of plagiarisms, right from the scientific writing to communicating skills, and also the reasons for not publishing, to the history of plagiarism, why plagiarism happens, and why to avoid plagiarism, forms of plagiarisms, and also you have nicely explained about the paraphrasing. The concept was perfectly clear. I hope it is totally clear for our participant delegates. Now I request, if anybody is having any question, the session is now open for discussion. If anybody is having any difficulty, please, you can ask the questions from participants. So I don't think there are any questions. So thank you very much, sir, for making our event a great success. We will be always indebted to you, sir. All from Bangladesh, you have made this event an international event. I'm very much thankful to you. Hope in future also we will be in touch. I wish you luck. I wish Allah give you health and happiness. Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you all, principals and sir and others. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, sir. So friends, let us now start with our technical session 2. I hope the resource person is there.
Yes, he's there.
Is there?
Yes, he's there.
Yes, he has joined. No? So dear friends, let us start with our technical session 2. Before starting with our technical session 2, I will like the chairmanship to be given to Dr. Mujib Jalil from Pune College, Pune camp, to accept the chairmanship. With your permission, I am starting the session, sir. So our second resource person is Dr. Syed Moinuddin Rashid. I will like to give his brief biodata. He is working as a senior general manager of Formulation and Development Department of Pharma Research, Wokhard Research Center, Aurangabad. He has a vast experience of 18 years, during which 37 products in the US market and 17 products in Europe markets have been filed to his name. Also, he has 5 patents on his name. He expertises in formulation development technology, transfer, troubleshooting, process optimization development. He has also worked on scale-up manufacturing of exhibit batches for the US market. Presently, he is working on various dosage forms such as sustained release tablets, modified release tablets, and powder for the solution. So dear students or delegates, this session is totally devoted to the pharma sector. I am very much happy to inform you that majority of the registrations, they are from the pharma sector. So now let us enjoy the second lecture of Dr. Moinuddin Rashid from Wokhard. Sir, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
So you can start with your presentation, sir.
Yeah, I'll share my screen. Just give me a minute.
Yes, we already have permission to share.
So it's visible.
It's visible. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. To begin with, I would like to thank Milia College and Principal of Milia College, Dr.
Video?
Ilyas Fazil.
It's visible. Okay, continue, sir.
Okay. So I'd like to thank the Society of Milia College and Principal of Milia College, Dr. Ilyas Fazil, for inviting me as a resource person for this very important topic, that is research and development and plagiarism. So I'm really thankful for it. And also I'm thankful to Dr. Seema Hashmi and Dr. Asif sir from Microbiology Department for getting this through me. So to begin with my session, today I'm going to speak upon the need of process analytical technology in pharmaceutical manufacturing. Before that, or before taking to the slides, I will speak about something. Before initiating, I'll speak about my thoughts on plagiarism, and then what are the problems, can be the possible solutions, and then I will take you through the slides. So I was also visiting the last lecture on plagiarism, and quite an informative lecture, and there was a very good insight about plagiarism. My personal opinion regarding plagiarism is that plagiarism takes place when there is a lack of idea. That is what I think. And there is a lack of idea basically because what happens, there is a one type of research going on, and then people tend to do similar research and they do similar work and all. and they start to write papers or patents and all. So what happened when one is working on the same thing again and again and with a very slightly different context, then what happens? The wordings, the sentences, the phrases, or the work itself, it gets overlapped, and that's why there is an increase in chances of plagiarism. And so now what exactly is happening, that plagiarism, it is majorly because my feeling is that there is a lack of ideas or new ideas. And why there is a lack of new ideas? There is a lack of new ideas because there are many problems which goes unnoticed wherein the work needs to be done. And the basic nature is that the researcher tends to work on the problem which are quite well known or which many people are working, so it is easier to work. So majority of time there is a lack of understanding regarding the problem. If the problem is not understood, there is no idea, and if there is no idea, then there is chances of increase in plagiarism. And one more thing is that between industry and academics, what is happening, the actual problems or anything which is coming during the pharmaceutical manufacturing and all is faced because the problems are being created in industry, and industry is a profit generating body, so they try to move out of the problem fast by taking out means. But then these problems never goes to the academic sector, or it never is escalated to academic sector wherein people can work on it in full detail, and then there can be number of researches or number of solutions to the problems. So this is where I feel that there should be an increase in industry and academic interaction. The more the academic and industry interaction, the more will be the awareness of the problem. And maybe because academic people, they do a very basic type of research, so the problem can be addressed very thoroughly through academic means rather than addressing through the industry. That is the major problem which I feel. And when I'm taking you through my presentation, I will again I will again emphasize what can be done or what are the problems we are facing. So before taking to the further slides, I will still speak some more things about the problems we are facing. And then first I will give a brief summary of my complete presentation, and then maybe I will take you through the slides. So basically, in any pharmaceutical industry, the purpose of pharmaceutical industry is to manufacture a product into different dosage forms. There can be many dosage forms such as tablet, capsule, solutions, suspensions, and few advanced dosage forms are also coming. So when you manufacture this dosage form, what is important? It is important that whatever medicament or whatever the drug which the tablet or the capsule is claiming, that amount of drug should be present in there. The tablet or the dosage form should release the drug to the intent or to the specification which it has been designed to release. And there should be a content to content uniformity, means each of the tablet should have the same amount of drug which has been manufactured. So how do we test this? So current scenario in industry is that we manufacture the batch. During manufacturing, there can be a number of stages during manufacturing. For example, if we are manufacturing a plain IR tablet, we first mix the drug with the non-inert material or the excipients through a granulation process. So at the granulation process, we have to stop and see that the drug has been mixed properly. Once the drug is manufactured, the drug is mixed, we do the compression into IR tablet. Here again, we'll have to see whether each tablet is having the required amount of drug. It is releasing the drug in the desired pattern, and it is meeting all the criteria of stability and all. So this is the current practice where we stop in between, we check the quality, then we may go forward step by step, and then in the final process, once the finished product is manufactured, We are checking the quality of the product by analyzing it through various techniques in the quality control lab. So the product is manufactured in the manufacturing area and it is being tested in the quality control lab. And when the product is tested in the quality control lab, here comes the real problem. What happens if you make a complete batch, your batch is ready, and then you found out that its assay or the drug content is just 85%. 15% drug is not there. So what happened in that case? In that case, either you do an investigation and give a lot of time to investigation to what has happened. And as per FDA, you have to do the investigation because you cannot leave anything unattended or any failure unanswered. So you have to do investigation, which requires quite a lot of time. Once the investigation is done, majority time, even if the root cause is identified, but the batch has failed because it has not met the desired characteristic or the desired specification which has been required for it. So what happens in this case? The batch goes waste, and there is a huge loss of material, huge loss of drug, huge loss of man hours, huge loss of utilities with the wastage of one batch. And more importantly, since the batch has not been manufactured or it is not complying to specs, it will not go into the market. And if it doesn't go into the market, then there will be a shortage of drug. And if there is a shortage of drug, you can understand what happens. So this is the current situation where the product is being tested for quality, that whether the product is complying to the quality or not is being tested. But actual, during the recent past few years, US FDA is coming with a understanding and all, and as per that understanding, we should not test the quality in the product, but rather we should build the quality in the product. We should make the product or manufacturing process in such a way that the product should never fail. That should be our level of confidence. So if we are able to do that, then what will happen? The number of rejections will be less. There will be a loss. There will be no wastage of batches. There will be no wastage of the active pharmaceutical ingredients. People will get the medicine in times, and there will be no shortages of medicines. So when I say that the quality need not be tested in the product, rather it has to be built in the product. So when I say that, then how do we achieve it? It is all about process analytical technique, or this is the need. So the need of process analytical technique is to ensure that you manufacture a product in such a way that it will always meet your quality requirements. And how do we achieve it? We achieve it through process analytical techniques. This is a technique which has started over the past 10 years and slowly growing with the need of modification of process to get a good quality of product. So with this, I'll bring I will start my slide displays and all, and maybe we can discuss one by one what exactly and why is the need of process analytical technology in pharmaceutical manufacturing. So brief contents is first we will discuss what is PAT and what are the different tools of PAT. Then we will discuss the need or the advantage of having a PAT process. Then we will discuss what is spectroscopy and how spectroscopy can be used as a PAT tool. And then we will go through a few cases. And one more thing regarding process analytical technology, people tend to believe that process analytical technology is something which is related with just spectroscopy or some hi-fi machine, but it is not that. There can be a very simple solution also which can control the product, and that itself can also become a part of your process analytical technology. It is not necessary that it has to be only spectroscopy. There are many ways. Each and every way by which you can control the quality of the product during manufacture, and you tend to get a very product with good quality meeting the specification. All such technique will be coming under PAT. Right now, majority of the technique which are coming are spectroscopic technique, because these are non-destructive techniques. And one by one, we will discuss exactly all this contents in the slides. So what is PAT? PAT, as I told you, it is a just watching your manufacturing process as it occurs. Watching. Whatever process for any dosage form you have defined, watching it thoroughly as it occurs. So why do we watch? We watch to understand what can be the problem, what can go wrong during the manufacturing, and what can be the variation which can happen in the process. So whatever these variations are there, if we keep on watching, we can understand that because of this variation, the product might not be meeting the desired quality. So we can put a control, or we can put a tool to check this variation and control this variation so that we get a quality material. This is PAT. And using this knowledge, as I told you, first watch what can go wrong through number of batches. Once you watch and observe what has gone wrong and what are the variables that has gone wrong, identify them. And after identifying them, use your knowledge, your intellect, and your quality prediction, and work towards getting the desired product with desired quality. So the term PAT is used to describe the optimal applications of chemistry tools, feedback, process control, information management tools, and product process optimization strategies. So basically, it is used to describe the what applications can be used or analytical tools can be used that can give you a good quality project. And it is a PAT is a platform for continuous process verification or validation. Means whenever you are implementing PAT, you are improving your process continuously, and you are verifying your process continuously, and you are verifying it so much that it should give you a confidence that your product is meeting the desired quality attributes. So coming to PAT for pharmaceuticals. So why a PAT technology is required for pharmaceuticals? So first thing is that whenever any industry who is manufacturing a product, the most primary intention should be that quality of product should be available to public in a very good and adequate condition for the intended use. What does it mean by that? That whatever I am manufacturing, it should be available to the public, but at the same time, if it is easily available, it should have the desired amount of drug which has been labeled. The same amount of drug should be there, because if it is low, it will be a suboptimal dosage. If it is high, it will be a dosage above the optimum level. And with suboptimal level, it will not create the required action, and with higher levels, it will give you some unintended side effects. So if the tablet is manufactured with an intention of giving a immediate relief to a pain, it should be able to give the immediate relief. That is the intended use. For example, if you are taking a crocin tablet, it is the intention or the intended use is that it should decrease the fever within a very short period of time. So for this, what will be the requirement, or what will be the, if the intended use is for decreasing the fever, then the requirement will be that your product should contain, if it is 500 milligram paracetamol, as per the specification, it should contain at least 495 to 505 or whatever the pharmacopoeial standard prescribed for paracetamol. Then it should be also able to release the drug immediately. Suppose if your quality is not good and you have taken the tablet, and if it has not released the drug on time, then the fever will not subside. So the purpose of taking the medication will not be there. So that should not happen, and that is the reason why quality of most important target for each and every pharmaceutical manufacturing is that they should provide without a medicine, without a shortage, the medicine should be good and it should give the desired impact. That is the reason, that is the requirement. And so for getting this desired quality attributes, PAT is required, where you can assure that everything is in place in that dosage form. So the process by which we achieve the level of quality, we can improve it to significant benefit to both industry and public health. So if you introduce PAT in your system, basically you will be able to, industry will benefit with decrease in losses and all. And obviously, since public is getting the good medication, it will also benefit. So this is a win-win situation for both the industry and public health sector. So here to address what PAT is used to address following things: low process capability. So what exactly is low process capability? Low process capability is that, suppose if you are manufacturing any product in the industry and you have manufactured, for example, 100 batches in a month. And if out of that 100 batches, if your 10 batches have failed to meet the specification, then what does it mean? It means that your process is not capable, or your process capability is very less. It means you have not designed the product perfectly. And so what happens if the process capability is less? You will have to rework or recall the product from market. Production cycle times get low. Cycle time increase because to get the quality, the cycle time will increase. Usually cycle time increases, and with the increase of cycle time, the capacity utilization is less. So in a facility where you manufacture 100 batch, and if your process is low capable, then in that same facility in a month, you will be able to manufacture, for example, say 90 batch or 95 batches. So the capacity utilization will decrease. So we have to address these issues through PAT. Then resolution of a process related problem is very slow. If we are not implementing PAT, or if you are not having any technique to identify the problems during the process, then it becomes a very slow and difficult process. And last thing is the high cost of compliance. So the current practice, which I said, that we make the product, and after making the product, then when we check the quality, and if it fails to comply, so for checking that quality, for the machines which are being used, or the QC testing, or the manpower and all, is very high cost. Plus you have to have a complete QA team and a compliance team to look into this, which is again a high cost of material. So here also PAT comes in picture. If you are having PAT, you can reduce the cost of compliance. And suppose if you have a low process capability, then there are increased risk of drug shortages, increased risk of releasing a poor quality product, recalls from market. Then again, there is a delay in approval of new drugs, then quality problems, and then confounding clinical trials data. So basically, to address all these things, process analytical technology comes in picture, wherein you have to design a process with the proper control at each stage. So now coming to all cycle timings, this was our data presented by US FDA Science Board meeting in November 16, 2001. And unfortunately, we have not yet improved. And we are on the same chart still, but gradually we are improving. So if you see, this is the number of days required, and this is the process. So if you see in the blue bar, it is the process timing. And if you see the QC testing timing, this is the red one. So what is happening, for example, here in this case, if the manufacturing time for one batch takes 5 days, analysis of this batch leads to 20 days. So can you imagine, we make a batch in 5 days, and then we wait for 20 days for quality control to test the product and release it in market. And these are the different type of possibilities or different type that has happened, or this was a collated data collected across industry in 2001, which was discussed in the FDA size board meeting. So everywhere you can see the process timing is less than the analytical time. So what is happening after manufacturing of batch, the batch is subjected to analysis. The analysis, because whatever technique currently we are using, for example, the HPLC technique or the UV technique, or even with the UPLC technique, the methods, the processing time and all are all time consuming, and it takes a lot of time to finally release the batch with the proper quality. And without testing the complete quality, you cannot release the product. So there is a need that your this graph should be reversed. What should happen? What should be the case? This should be your time for manufacture of batch. If it is 5 days, then the analysis time should be 2 days, 3 days, not more than that. Then only the organization will be in profit, quality will be thorough, and there will be no shortages in the market. So now what happens? Suppose we have manufactured a batch and the batch has failed to comply to specification. So this is a terminology which we use in industry, that is OOS. So OOS means it has out of specification. It is out of specification. So if at all a batch you have manufactured, if it has given a assay of say 115%, if any tablet, if at all it has given assay of 115%, it means the batch has gone into a OOS, out of specification. And if it has gone to out of specification, obviously this is a batch of which has failed. And if at all this batch has failed, then this batch cannot be thrown out without investigation, because FDA doesn't allow you, okay, the batch has failed and no, okay, now we will manufacture other batch, let us throw this. It is not allowed. You have to first find the root cause, and you have to first identify what is the problem, what has happened, why the assay has come high. Then only you can throw this batch or you can discard this batch by doing the proper investigation. But then when an OS is reported, then there is a key problem which are almost for which the once the OS is released, there is an investigation which is done. These days, when this is given to FDA, the investigation, the FDA rejects your investigation and say that this is not a valid investigation and it has not come up to the mark. And majority key problems comes from there, that your investigation are not up to the quality mark. And why your investigation are not up to the quality mark? So thing is that first of all, your product should not fail. If your product has failed, you have to do investigation and submit to FDA. If your investigation gets rejected with FDA, then you again face problem for manufacturing the future batches. And why the investigation phase? I will just give you a reason for why there are chances of not identifying the problem for which it has failed. Various independent groups are involved without unified responsibility and ownership. So when an OS comes in industry, there are different departments which play the role. There is a department, manufacturing department, there is a quality control department, there is a dispensing or warehouse department, there is a regulatory department, there is a quality assurance department. People from different departments has to gather and do this investigation. And most of the time what happens, since there are multiple departments, the responsibility or the ownership is with no one. And if the responsibility is with no one, it is a very scary situation, because then each one will wait for the other to complete the investigation. Unless and until the management come into picture and the management gives a tough warning and all, this don't move. And this is a majority of the problem or the alerts currently which India is facing, because this can be one of the reasons. Then second thing is that investigator which has been identified to investigate what has been wrong in the batch. They lack the proper expertise and or training, because what happens many a times there are different processes, and some people are expert in some process, but they have to work on other process. Because of this, they don't have the relevant experience, and then their investigation leads into a totally different matter. Then sometimes what happens, batch has failed, OS has been reported, but then there is another product which is running and which is on high priority. So what people do, people hold this product and they start running after the second product. So by that time, the first product, the batch is on hold, the investigation is on hold, and then the market starts suffering because the product doesn't go into the market. Sometimes investigator, this is very rare case, but then they do not have the authority or request to seek information from other areas. This happens usually where people tend to pass the responsibility, and then they start avoiding giving the relevant information, because of which the investigation delays. And the most important thing, the investigation SOP. There is a SOP. If it is not used, obviously the investigation will get delayed. So, and then furthermore, sometimes what happens, there is a shortage in market, your product has failed, and then there is a pressure to release the batch or make a new batch. So what is happening? There is a very insufficient time to give to the investigation, and this will lead to a wrong inference or wrong root cause identification. And sometimes the investigation never gets identified. During the investigation, the problem is never identified, because what happens that since some senior people is involved or something like that, tough questions are not asked. And sometimes whatever problem is there, problem is identified, then but the people don't tend, or the people at the shaft floor don't tend to rectify the problem, which is again a very important aspect for delay in investigations, because till that time you don't rectify and you don't give a proof of concept about the investigation or the deviation, you won't be able to move forward. And the last but not the least, sometimes investigators, they just write whatever their manager or their superior feels should be done, and then in that case, there is a totally different type of problem. So overall, we in Indian industry, we are facing a problem for our investigation. Suppose if our product is having a out of specification, then the investigation which we are doing is rejected by FDA because of the reason I have enclosed here, and this leads to a problem. So how can you avoid? The best way to avoid is that never achieve a OS or never go out of specification. And how do you achieve no OS or no out of specification? You achieve it by building quality in your product by proper tools, by proper process analytical techniques. So if you see what happens, there are some batches which are released into the market, and over the period of time, they have to be retraced from the market because of the following reasons: that some GMP deviation is observed later on in the document, or some subpotency is identified. And usually what happens, for example, if a batch is manufactured, the industry gives it based on its studies and all, and based on accelerated stability data, industry gives a shelf life of 24 months, and the batch is sent to the market based on the accelerated data. But actually, when we are doing the long-term analysis, we identify that this batch is stable till 18 months and it will not pass to 24 months. In such cases, what happened? The expiry date is not supported, and if such data is observed, then you have to recall the batch from the market. You cannot put an expiry batch in the market. Initially, you can put based on your extrapolation of accelerated data, but once that is done, and when you are on long stability, at least for the initial batches. If at all your stability data does not support the shelf life of 24 months or 36 months, then you have to recall the batches. Majority of batches which are failing is because of dissolution failure. And what exactly is dissolution failure? As I was saying, that paracetamol, it has to dissolve immediately. So there are some other medicines which are meant for giving the drug release for 24 hours. So for 24 hours, there is a dissolution profile. At each time, it should release this much drug. And if at time it doesn't happen, but still, if there is a failure in dissolution, you have to recall a batch. Then this is label mix-up. This is not, we cannot call it as something related with process analytical technology, but this is also one of the important reason. Then other reasons for recall or failure of batches are content uniformity of failure, means one tablet, the assay is 120% and in the other tablet assay is 75%. It means in the overall batch, the drug has no presence of fluorine particles, pH failures, and the most important thing is the microbial contamination. So see, if you do the microbial testing, it is a long process. And if it is a long process, and if the batch is released and if there is any microbial contamination, then the batch is failing or you have to recall it. So for all these things, not to happen, you have to have a proper control on process, which should give you a guarantee that whenever you are releasing a product in the market, it should never fail to any of the prescribed specification. This is the most important thing any formulation development scientist or any manufacturer has to look into. So what is the vision of PAT? So PAT provides us with an opportunity to move the current testing to, as I told you, right now we are having testing to document quality. Means we are making the batch, then we are testing and we are deciding whether this batch is passing or not passing. This is the current practice. So PAT provides an opportunity to move from this practice to a practice of continuous quality assurance. Continuous quality assurance is a technique which is being provided by process analytical technique, wherein the quality, wherein you assure that quality was built in or it is by design. Means the process which you have done is such a process that the quality is built and it will never fail, or the chances of failure is minimal. So this is the vision of PAT. It is taking you from testing to quality to continuous quality assurance. Means rather than testing the quality of the finished product, you should inbuild your process and your critical quality attributes identification should be such that identified and controlled in such a way that your product will never fail. This is the vision of PAT. So this is a shift in the manufacturing paradigm, process control. So this is what I have already said. This is the conventional approach or a lab-based or a recent approach which usually we follow. We make the raw material, mix the raw material. So once we take the raw material, we test the raw material. 10 to 15 days are gone in testing each and every raw material. Once you test the raw material, you start your batch, you mix your active or the drug with other excipients. After mixing, then you have to again test here before going to the next process that the drug has mixed uniformly into the excipients. So once that is done, you again have to wait for 3 to 4 days to get the blend uniformity results. Then you press the tablets or you compress it into tablets. So the tablets are being manufactured. Once the tablet is being manufactured, before packaging, then again you have to check whether this tablet or other conventional approach, which is a very tight or at each stage of manufacturing. So, for example, if you have obtained the raw material and when you check, and if the raw material has failed, then you have no chance, then you have to throw the raw material and get a new raw material. If you mix the active ingredients with the excipient, and now your batch is ready for compression, but when you test this at this stage, and if it fails to meet the specification, then you cannot compress it because it is not having that quality. So this is wastage. So this is what is happening, that we complete one stage, we check, then we complete another step, we check, and that is the reason why it is taking so much time, and that is the reason time for manufacturing is very less and time for quality testing is very high. So in PAT approach, what is happening? Obtained raw materials. So these obtained raw materials, in the material itself, you have to check the quality, whether the material are meeting the compliance and all. Not after getting the material. You have to ensure it before it is coming. Then when you mix the active ingredient into excipient, so during this process of mixing, you have to ensure that it has mixed properly. Rather than complete this step and checking here, all these arrows are meant that you should check it here itself. And how you can check it? You can check it through PAT, various techniques, which I will again give you by example one by one as we move forward. So all this mixing, you have to establish that the time for mixing, the rotation of the blender for mixing, and everything has been mixed through process analytical techniques in such a way that you can go directly from this step to this step without testing, and you should be confident that your product will meet the specification. Now, once you are compressing the tablets, again, current condition is that first do the compression and check whether it is happened. But as per PAT, you have to check here itself during the manufacturing or during the compression of tablet. You have to put certain tools over here where you can ensure that it is meeting the desired quality attributes, or there should be such a tools that this compression took till after completing the compression of the batch, you will check the quality. You have to check, or you have to ensure the quality here only, followed by the packaging. So coming to the introduction. So what can be used as a, just a minute.
Hello, sir. You come back to your original slide.
Yeah. So introduction. So what can be the use? What can be used to watch a process? So anything, as I told you, it is not only the spectroscopy, which is the tool for process analytical technique. Anything which you do, or anything, any simple thing which you can put into the process. Am I audible? Hello? 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 Hello?
Hello, continue, sir.
Hello?
Continue, please, sir.
Yeah. So anything by which you can ensure the quality is a process analytical technology, and it is not limited to only spectroscopy technique. So chromatography, HPLC, gas chromatography, this is also used in PAT. Then various spectrometric techniques, these are the techniques which are coming up to a very wide use for process analytical technique. That is the Raman spectroscopy, UV visible spectroscopy, IR, NIR, mid-IR, and mass spectical technique. Then acoustic torque sensors, which are used in formulation industry, where you can measure the torque of the granulation process. It is also one of the technique. Image analysis also is one of the technique. Then particle size analyzer, measuring the particle size is also one of the technique. So these analyzers used to watch the process. Whatever analyzers which we are using to watch the process or understand the process are PAT tools. So anything from this, that is the chromatography or the spectrometric different technique or the torque sensors or the image analyzer, any simple thing or something as simple as a digital camera, which is used to ensure that there are no spots on tablet, can also be a PAT technique. So typically we choose an analyzer which requires, so what happens when we choose any analyzer, we choose an analyzer which is a non-destructive method. Suppose for example, we are manufacturing a tablet into tablet dosage form. So if, to check whether that the inner tablet is present, the destructive technique is that we break the tablet and see, but then the tablet which has been broken will be useless. So having a X-ray technique established on the compression machine or a camera established which can check without breaking the tablet that the inner tablet is present is PAT. So anything which can help in improving the quality and maintaining the quality and designing the quality is a process analytical technical tool. So there are different type of PAT techniques. I will explain to you one by one with the help of this diagram. For example, this is a process unit. Now consider this, for example, this is a process unit where we are mixing our active ingredient with the inert excipient or inert material. Suppose you are mixing 2 grams of your drug with a 98 gram drug of excipients. So there are various ways of technique. There are various techniques or PAT techniques. So first technique is a at-line technique. So this is the at-line technique. So what is there? At-line technique. From the process, you take out some sample, and then in the same area, you have some NIR from which you can check whether the mixing has taken place with the help of this probe. So this is a at-line technique. Then second is the online technique. So what exactly is the online technique? Your process is taking place here. From this process, you divert a few material in a side way, wherein you have inserted your NIR probe. And your NIR probe is checking whether mixing is taking place or not. This is an online technique. Then inline technique. Inline technique is that your NIR probe is directly inserted into the process unit, and it will this NIR probe is then connected to your computer, and in the computer it gives you the values that this much mixing has happened and now the drug has mixed completely. And the last technique is the offline technique, wherein you take the material and get it into a QC lab and test. This is the current technique or offline technique, where the measurement or the analysis is being done outside the area. So out of all these techniques, the best technique is directly testing the product or directly testing the mixing in line. That is, in the process vessel itself, you attach a NIR probe. NIR probe, what will the NIR probe do? It will record your IR spectra of the drug, and it will continue to identify whether uniformly your drug has spread or not. And it will directly give you it in the display that your mixing has taken place and you can stop. So inline technique and outline technique, these are the most desirable technique because of this technique, you don't have to take out the sample or destruct it. You are testing it online itself, and this gives you assurance that your product is running thoroughly or doing good. So when you are doing inline and online testing, so how do we do? Usually what your R&D comes in picture. In research and development department, with this NIR probe, spectra library is created. many batches are prepared and tested, and then a spectra is defined. And this spectra is fed in this equipment. The final spectra where the between which the drug has been equally mixed with the excipient is fixed in the or fed in this equipment, and this equipment will identify okay, now the desired spectra has been achieved and it will stop on its own. There is no need to check otherwise, and this will give you a confidence that this has taken place. And same cases with the online, and even for the at-line, you can take out the sample, you can check it. While the process is running, you can take 5 gram sample, process is still running, and you can check. So all these 3 techniques are good, but preferably inline and online technique is the best technique. And offline technique is a labor rest technique. It requires a QC chemist, it requires a separate lab, it requires a lot of time for analyzing, and it is a time consuming. Yeah. So we have to shift from this stage to this 3 most probably, and the best case is inline and online techniques. Now many people will argue or say that by doing this we are reducing the number of jobs and all, which is a general false notion which is created among academics or college people that as we grow into more technology or automatic technology, the job will decrease. But this is not the case. In fact, it will be the opposite, because final testing in the process, here the job will decrease, but the jobs at R&D will be decreased. At R&D will increase because you have to develop these methods, you have to develop the spectra for this unit operation. For each and every product, you have to have some technique which will give you a desired quality attribute, and you will require more people for developing this technique. So it is not that going into automation will result in loss of job. In fact, it will increase in job, and it will increase in the job in the sector which is more challenging and more interesting, that is the R&D. So instead of more of QC chemists, we will have a more of R&D analysts. So that false notion that automation leads to job reduction is not true, and it is something we can say false notion. And in fact, the more we go towards automation, to bring about automation will require more knowledge, more scientists, more people working, and it will help us more. Automation will only help us in getting the desired quality, good quality, and it will never cause, it will require equal amount of time to develop or build that automation. So need of process analytical techniques. So as I have already mentioned you, process analytical technique can be used from development, from the phase where the product is developed in the R&D to the production. Everywhere process analytical technique can be used to give value addition. And what values does it give? So whatever disadvantage of the conventional technique I have spoken about are actually the values of the process analytical technique. For example, it gives you increased information about the process. It will give you a very increased information about the process. If you apply a PAT tool, it will let you know by what time your process is capable to blend the drug thoroughly. So it will give that information to you. It will secondly reduce dependence on taking samples for costly and sometimes slow analytical tests. For example, if you have to check a content uniformity of 10 tablets, you have to take 10 tablets, you have to go to the QC, then you have to run it through HPLC. And now for HPLC, for each drug, there is a different run time. And for example, if the run time is 1 hour for one sample, and you have to run 10 samples, it will take 10 hours. So the test will be costly, as costly chemical will be used, and the time will also be required. So PAT helps here, that if you have a technique wherein there is directly on the computation machine, the IR probe and telling you that the drug is 100% in all. Then PAT helps in early for in your initial compression cycle. If there is a low drug content and if you are having a proper PAT tool, it will tell you that there is some problem and there is a less drug content. You can stop the machine, you can rectify the issue, and then you can start it. So your complete batch will not waste, or you will not have to wait till finishing of the batch, testing it and then rejecting the batch. Then of course, time cycle will reduce because analysis time will reduce. Then increase product quality. This is the by far the most important target, that whenever you run a pad, you will get a process with the increased product quality, having a very continuous verification of process throughout its run. Throughout, if you run a process analytical technique, it will ensure that your product has met the required quality. So need of process analytical technique, where it begins and where it ends. This is the involvement of department, and this is the PAT process, PAT project progress. So as you see, this is the R&D role and this is the manufacturing role. Blue is R&D and the orange one is manufacturing operations. So initially the involvement of R&D is more for PAT techniques because they have to develop those techniques. And the involvement of manufacturing is very less. Only thing is that they just tell their expectation, what is expected from the process from them. And here R&D is working on the methods. And as the methods develops and it comes to a certain point, responsibility of R&D will decrease and manufacturing operations will increase. So once the manufacturing operations is taking the product, then it is their responsibility to ensure. So early PAT is when R&D is there, and R&D is what exactly R&D is doing. R&D is determining the critical process parameter, and they are developing low cost and assured methods to build in the quality. So this is the early PAT, and then there is a late PAT. So this late PAT is into manufacturing operations, means the second stage wherein the manufacturing is using PAT to control the process. It requires a formal validation which the manufacturing operations has to do. So this is our data which suggests that by traditional process, the number of reject or waste batches are more. And by the current process or by PAT techniques, the reduction is decreasing. And so why spectroscopy as a major PAT tool? As I said, anything can be a PAT, but spectroscopy is a PAT because first of all, it gives you a very rapid results in seconds. Second, it is a non-invasive technique. Third, it gives you a very high information. And lastly, spectroscopy can be having a very multifaceted information such as identification, quantification, structural information, kinetics, dynamics, and qualitative model buildings. So as I told you, common strengths of NIR, mid-IR, UV, visible, and Raman technique. It is a rapid technique, little or no sample preparation time, non-destructive technique. You don't have to destruct your dosage form, gives you high precision, multi-component capability, and can provide large amount of data in short time. And it can be used on or inline, both. No offline sampling and without offline sampling also you can do. So these are the various steps where you can introduce your PAT technique. This is a FBD, drying, tray dryer. You can have a blending, as I told you. If the blending process is taking here, then you can have a PAT technique, and then once the mixing happens, the blender should close on its own. Then on tablet feed frame, where the tablet gets manufactured, you can insert a probe and ensure that content uniformity is there. Raw material, now there is no need with PAT technique. You can directly put the probe and get the IR and decide which drug is there. There is no need to give a HPLC testing. And for continuous processing, so these are all applications of NIR and Raman spectroscopy in pharmaceutical operations. And now a little fast, I will take you through the case study. Case study 1, currently this is a blending machine. Here blending is taking place, and standard practice is that once we mix, we have to ensure that the blend is uniform,
Slides
that
are
the
not
drug is
visible.
uniform.
Hello, Mohit.
Yeah.
Only your introduction slide is seen. Please come to the correct slide. Introduction slide is visible here. Which slide you are using? Click that.
Just a minute. Now?
Yes, now it is visible.
Okay. So blend uniformity and point determination. So this is a blending machine where you are mixing your drug with the excipients, and how currently you insert the sampling sieve and check, which is a tedious way of checking. And then according to this, if you fix a NIR, there is no need to check or take the sample with the sampling sieve. You can fix the NIR here. In the next slide, I will show how you fix the NIR, and it will directly give you the readings. Yeah, this is the blender. This is the near infrared spectroscopy equipment which you are attaching. And as you mix, you get the spectra. And once the desired spectra is achieved, it has been fed here and your blender will stop immediately. So rather than by this method of inserting the sampling sieve and taking the sample and analyzing, better method is to have your NIR spectra here only, NIR machine, and it will stop on its own and it will save a lot of time. Second example or second case is that of a tablet press where from here you can put the excipient, here you can put the drug. There is an online mixing and you can have a NIR probe here. And this NIR probe will ensure that mixing has taken place and the material will go directly onto the tablet press. And here also there can be one probe which will check that the tablet is having a desired quality. So this will reduce the chances of failure or of content uniformity in your tablet. And this is case 3 wherein you can use a camera or some type of device to measure the increase in particle size. This is the machine. You attach the camera here and it checks the increase in particle size. For example, if in this machine, if you are putting some pellets and coating it, so what is the increase in size? So after completion of process, by normal technique, you are getting 516 millimicron before coating. After coating, 598. It means coating has taken place. Difference is 82. So when you introduce this machine and this machine checks the increase in the size, and it gives you almost exact picture that the particle growth is 85 micron. This is again a PAT technique, wherein you don't have to stop and check by sieve analysis. It can check by itself on its own. This is the particle size distribution before and after coating. So start of the coating, middle of the coating, and end of the coating, you can just check it. And there are thousands of examples, and I myself can speak on hours of example. And whenever I go for such type of presentation, what I feel that the time gets very limited. And by the time I explain the general thing and come to the examples, there is very less time left. So basically what is required that we should discuss each and every technique in detail, but of course each technique will take days and days. So that should be something. Maybe I am working on a few of my lectures on YouTube, which I'm working, and I'll post so that the students can see and all, because it is not possible to cover up into a short time of 1 hour. And there are many examples throughout 18 years of my career I have experienced and I have resolved and all. So very quickly or in short time, I will be coming up onto YouTube to give or explain each and every technique one by one, and maybe I think that will be a better way of contacting. And with this example, I will now conclude my session, and thank you for listening to me. And again, I will thank Milia College for assigning me as a research source person. I'm thankful to the staff, to the principal, and each one and every person of Milia College, and each and every one of you who are attending this conference. And also, I will like to thank you, my good friend, principal of YB Chauhan College, Dr. Abu Bakr, who has invited few of the pharmacy people also. I am really thankful to him for his help. And now the session is open for questions if there is any.
So students, do you have any questions? So I don't think, sir, we are having any doubts.
Okay.
So, not only about PAT, sir, you have taken a keen interest in our first lecture, plagiarism. And I'm very much happy that you heard it, each and every word of that lecture. Okay. So very nicely you have given the explanation of PAT, PAT for pharmaceuticals, address of the PAT, risks of low process capability, reasons for recall and dissolution failure, vision of PAT, and lastly you have given a very nice explanation about the techniques, that is chromatography and spectrometry, how it can be used in your PAT. So once again, I am very much thankful to you. I hope the pharma sector is very much happy. Majority of the registrations are from pharmacy colleges. So I'm very much thankful to all the participants coming from pharmacy college. Very special thanks to Dr. Abu Bakr sir, principal, YB College of Pharmacy. Now I am ending the session here. We'll take a break of 1 hour, and again using the same link we will join at 2:30. Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, bye. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you, Allah Hafiz.
सर आईसी वो जो ग्रुप है ना उस पे